I may have ideas and plans for what I want to do and who I want to be, but I don't hold myself to them because I know in a moment's time, like I can say I'm gonna be at CASA for 10 years and then God can say tomorrow you're going somewhere else.
Wow.
And
you
so
know, that's a faith walk.
Yeah.
That's a faith walk.
And I follow that.
Yeah. And there's a scripture that says man plans his ways, but it's really God who orders his steps. So oftentimes we can make plans and God was like, no, that's not.
He laughs all the time.
And he has us on a need to know basis.
Yeah.
Well, I can speak for myself.
And I trust that plan so much, Tige. I've let go and let God literally. So, you know,
I love that.
If tomorrow I get the call to do something else, it could be get rid of everything, get rid of the money you make, the opportunities you have. And mind you, I make my money more ways than just CASA.
Yes.
But if God said, let go of all that and start over from poverty, I would, because I know there's a purpose in that and that it's going to impact someone somehow. And I've just made peace with knowing that I am a vehicle that is being used for something bigger and better than just myself. And he hasn't failed me yet.
See, y'all, that's why she is my little big sister, okay?
Hello, and welcome to the Leadership Reality Podcast with your girl, Tige Charity. This podcast is for C-suite leaders to discuss their experiences and provide insight, encouragement, and inspiration for seasoned and inspiring leaders, offering valuable solutions to today's challenges that will inspire, ignite, and invigorate new and seasoned leaders to walk in their God-given authority with compassion, kindness, and empathy. So sit back, relax, and be prepared to be inspired with today's episode of Leadership Reality. Thank you.
Welcome back to another episode of Leadership Realities with me, Tige Charity, where we will be sharing tales from the top. Our guest today is my friend, who I call my little big sister because I'm older, but oh my God, she is a giant in advocating for youth in foster care and the juvenile system. Dr. Charity Chandler-Cole. Y'all, I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm so excited. She is a distinguished author, scholar, advocate, and national child welfare advocate, deeply committed to improving the lives of youth in foster care and the juvenile system. Born and raised in Los Angeles, her lived experience with the foster care and juvenile system continues to fuel the passion of advocating for vulnerable communities. She has spent over a decade. Okay, I know she looked like she's 12, but she has spent over a decade working to transform the social structures, policies, and systems that affect youth in foster care. As the CEO of CASA of Los Angeles, Dr. Charity Cole is dedicated to using her role to not only advocate for the foster children and families, but to really help reshape the narrative and outcome for those that are impacted by the system, using her platform to educate, to develop, and to empower individuals from diverse backgrounds. All right, y'all, let's get started. Let me tell y'all. Oh, wait. Before I get started, I need to tell you that she is the vice chair of the Los Angeles County Commission for Children and Families and co-chair in its Racial Justice Committee. She also serves on the African American Advisory Board to District Attorney George Gascon. I hope I'm saying his name right. And co-chairs the Policy and Practice Reforms Subcommittee for the California Mandated Reporting to Communities Supporting Task Force. Dr. Charity, girl, you already know. Let me just let my hair down. Welcome to the show. When I tell you, I'm so excited right now because not only does she serve on those really big boards, but I have the honor of having her on the Kids in the Spotlight board too. When she said yes, y'all, I was like a little kid at a candy store. I was like, she said yes. I started calling my board. We got Dr. Charity. Well, you were Charity at the time. You Dr. Charity now.
Yes.
But I'm so happy to have you here. Let's get started.
Yeah, so glad to be here. Thank you. And you're phenomenal and amazing. And I only say yes to phenomenal and amazing people. So. Just for the record.
Well, I do love the fact that every time you are out and about in community, you really do think about me. And that it's one of those things that I really do cherish. You're like, Tige, there's this event. I'd like you to come. There are people there you need to meet. And I was just not used to that. But I just really do appreciate you always including me.
Of
so
course,
thank you.
we have to.
Yay. So let's talk about CASA first.
Yes.
Tell me exactly what CASA is. What is the mission of CASA LA?
So CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates, and what we do is we organize ordinary people in our communities to show up in life and in court to advocate for children impacted by the foster care and juvenile justice systems. We are the only organization that exists that gets to speak to every party on a child's case plan, from the parent's attorney to the children's attorney, the social workers, the caregivers, the school, the healthcare professionals, the children themselves. And through that one-to-one individualized advocacy, we're able to then develop a trauma-informed and culturally responsive court report that the judge really looks at and uses to determine the recommendations and orders for that child when it comes to their safety, where they should be placed, their education, what their needs. And they rely on our report because they know that we're not overburdened and overwhelmed with high caseloads, and that each of our CASAs is only focused on that one child. They don't have any other children they're focused on.
Amazing.
And so we dedicate 100% of our efforts and times to making them whole.
That one-on-one is so important, because that is the challenge with social workers. They have so many cases. They get burnt out easily, but being able to show up and volunteer for one youth, they become family to the volunteers. Because I've been to your gala and I've heard from the volunteers, and it's like they see these kids as just their own. So how does one volunteer to be a CASA?
Yes, so we are aggressively looking for more CASA volunteers, whether you're Black, brown, whites, bilingual, regardless of what background you come from. We need more people to show up for kids in foster care. You can go to casala.org and sign up to be a volunteer. You have to be over 21 years old, pass a background check, and granted, if you have a record for something that is deeply rooted in white supremacy and it is not attached to or tied to, something very criminal and violent, there are certain things that we will, waive or make exemptions for. So don't let that don't let that prevent you from showing up to advocate for a child. And then we put you through a very rigorous 40-hour training. It's been reduced to 30 hours trainings, but it really walks you into and shows you what the child welfare system is about, how to advocate for children. So you don't have to have any experience with the legal system, with the child welfare system. You can come in off the street just giving a damn about advocating for your neighbor, for your community, for our kids, and we'll do the rest.
Wow.
But if you're biased or racist or any of those things, we quickly...
This is not the place for you.
We very quickly tell you that.
And you got an eye for it too.
We do. We do.
And that's what I love about you, like no nonsense. Because this is serious. It's absolutely, it's serious work. And you, because you've talked about it all the time, especially in this amazing book, you guys, you have to get Dr. Charity's book called Stranger Danger. You talk about your own lived experience in foster care and the juvenile justice system. So this is personal.
It's very personal. And I didn't have a CASA. I didn't know CASAs existed. But if I had one, I knew there would have been someone showing up for me, checking on me, asking questions. I would not have just been a number on a roster. I would not have experienced the abuse and exploitation that I experienced while in the foster care system. No one was looking for me. No one was checking on me. And they knew it, and my vulnerabilities were exploited. So CASA for me is so important, because when a child has a CASA, everyone involved in that child's life, everyone in the system knows, you're not messing with this one.
Yes.
Not today.
Not today. Not this one.
Not this one.
Ooh, because they got CASA.
Yes.
All over them. Let me tell you, when I read your book, I started reading the book on an airplane. I kept texting her, because I have to have free texting on airplanes. I got to stay plugged in. That's my little obsession with work. But anyway, I was texting. I was like, oh no, where is this person? Where is the judge? This can't be. When I tell you, I was hanging on every word. And your story is the story of so many of our young people. So thank you.
Thank you
for using your pain, I say, for purpose, and just being a stellar role model in this lane of advocacy work for youth in foster care. But tell me about leadership here. When did you first kind of operate in a leadership role?
So I want to say my first job in a leadership role was at the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Okay. I was hired in my 20s as the National Director of Contracts. And so AHF is one of the few nonprofits that at the time it was a $1 billion nonprofit. Now it's a $2 billion nonprofit.
Wow.
And I remember when I interviewed for the job, they were like, on paper, you look perfect, you sound perfect, but just letting you know we're going to let you interview because they had a recruitment firm that was hiring for the position, and they was trying to recruit for this position for over a year and couldn't find the right candidate. And the guy told me that you most likely won't get the job, but it would be good practice for you trying to get a job in a leadership role. And by leadership, I'm thinking of I'm overseeing a team of people, because I've always had little fancy titles. At 19 years old, I was a senior branch account executive for City Financial.
Nice.
And I've always had started my career very early. And so I interviewed for the position and was hired the same day despite them seeing this young girl.
Because that's just how bad you are.
With zero experience, with very little experience, they just saw this young black girl who they're like, we've never hired someone like you in this leadership role, so don't count on it, but we'll go through the process because on paper you check the box. And ended up getting the position and was able to really transform how we did business. And it was at a time we were growing dramatically. So it was just a really great leadership experience for me. I had to come in and lead people that were older than me, and a lot of people had a problem with it. A lot of people also didn't have a problem with it, but that was my first time really getting a taste of, leadership is fun, but I don't like managing people. If I'm being honest.
Girl, hold on. I usually have to take a sip when there's this mic drop moment. That's my mic drop moment.
So I'll say nothing politically correct in this interview.
Be free.
Expect the opposite.
Be free. So that is part of the challenge in leadership. And at an early age of 20, I can only imagine, because seasoned people probably feel like, who is this girl trying to, supervise or manage or tell me what's best for, the job that I'm doing. Yeah. So I commend you on that. But I want to know, though, when did you realize you had leadership qualities?
I realized it wasn't in my role. So here's the thing, even though I'm in advocacy now, and just for those that don't know, my role is CEO of CASA LA. This is my first job ever working in child welfare. I've never worked in this space, but I've advocated over a decade in these spaces, sitting on very powerful boards and committees and commissions. And I had a rule that my advocacy could not be tied to my paycheck because I knew the work I wanted to do. I didn't want to do it how others wanted me to do it or how they wanted me to show up. And so when I sat on my first board, in my I was like 25, I was appointed to the Juvenile Justice Standing Committee of the Board of State and Community Corrections. I think I want to say 25 years old, the youngest person ever appointed and the first person with lived experience to be on that committee. And in that moment, I realized there is an opportunity for me to be in a leadership role. Yes. But I also felt very small. I was like, look at this, a large opportunity, but I also knew I was there because they checked a box. We have someone black, we have someone with lived experience. But then in that space, I felt very small. I felt as if I didn't have a voice, like the voice they needed and wanted, I wasn't able to really put out there. And it wasn't really them, it was, to a degree it was them, but it was also me being intimidated by all these people that were around me who were like the chiefs of probation or this person and this lawyer and that attorney. There were just so many people there with all these titles and degrees that could talk about and really articulate my problem and issue and experience better than I can, that I felt very small. And so it wasn't really inclusive of people like me at the time coming in and actually having a voice, because inviting people with lived experience in spaces was very new at that time. But through that experience, I realized that having people around me who thought they knew it all and not being able to get in and give my response and answer the way I wanted to let me know that I had something to say. And through that, it was just simmering and growing. When I finally opened my mouth and said, y'all got it wrong, that's when I realized that a leader was born. She was always there, but she was just suppressed and intimidated and scared to articulate things the way she knew she had to. Because if we get it wrong, we don't get a second chance. Unfortunately. So we have to come correct the first time. And so I felt like it was just suppressed, waiting for that moment to come. But when it came, baby.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, because I call it a good disruptor, because you don't mind disrupting
at
things.
All.
But Charity, the good thing is about you is, I'm like, you, because you're beautiful, you know that. And I'm like, you check things and people with such a pleasant demeanor that it almost feels like, now I know I got checked, but she's
I just
so
get
pretty.
dragged.
And you're right. Like she ain't the typical, they assume that, people assume that, when we're angry, you could hear it. And I know you can, my boys, because I get the roll in my neck and I am, typical of that behavior. But you are just always so cool, so calm, collected, but you speak your mind, your piece. And you do it in just such a beautiful and elegant way that even though you checked, and I know some people still have a hard time with it, because I think you kind of revamped your whole board because you had some people on your board that you felt like did not have the best interests of our youth, but rather, we have that sort of sometimes savior syndrome, and they were doing it because they wanted to feel good about themselves versus really addressing and meeting the needs.
Right. And we've definitely come a long way to get here. I don't code switch anymore. I used to try to fit into what people thought I should say or be. But in the beginning, Charity had all the attitude. I mean, I'm from South Central.
Okay.
Period. So I came in with all the smoke, all the attitude, always had a wall up, was always very defensive. I felt like everyone was trying to attack me. And I had to realize that that's not always the case and that you can communicate things in a gentler way and still be effective and win people over in the process. I had to learn that because that wasn't always the case. I came in very strong. Even at CASA, I came in very strong with my board in the beginning because I knew that there was going to be a lot of resistance. And there were even things I could have done better then. It doesn't change the fact that there were people that needed that type of approach at the time. So I have zero regrets. But I think as a leader, you're a learner first. And every interaction we have, every experience we have is an opportunity for us to grow and learn and develop. And so whether I did things that I could have done differently or have my really proud moments and wins, I always reflect back and say, how did I do? Did I have the impact I want to have? Because at the end of the day, it's about not your intent, not even how you feel all the time, but am I getting the results I want to get? Am I having the impact I want to have? And if not, what do I need to do differently? So for me, I knew that my approach, coming from South Central, I was a drug dealer at 14 in gangs, all these things. I had to, approach things differently. And so it happened naturally over time where this grace that I have, or that people say I have.
Yes, you got it.
I'm like, really?
You got it, girl.
It just kind of comes naturally. And a lot of that, it comes over time, but a lot of that is because I've built confidence in myself. I'm the person that validates me. I'm the person that loves me, and I'm the person that determines my worth. And I think when you have those things, you're able to glide about earth in the world a little differently and navigate problems and challenges along the way differently because you know that you're rooted in something that's blessed.
I'm an emotional being. Girl, I'm about to run around this place. You have said so much. Who helped you to get to that place? How did you, because you had to do the hard work to get there. Did you have mentors to help you? Or how did you get there?
I get that question all the time, and I'm looking at the camera when I say this. I want to thank me.
Hey, come on.
And that's just, unfortunately, I wish I could say I had this mentor, I had these people I looked up to. And the reality is I had nothing, no one. And I became pregnant at 18 years old while I'm homeless on the street after running away from my group home. And because I was about to bring life into this world, I had to bring life into me first. And so I went through this and I was so low. I was at a time in my life where I didn't care if I died or went to jail or was homeless. I just gave up on, I wanted to die. I thought daily about different ways to kill myself. But when I decided to keep my son, and because I was already at the bottom, I literally made up this fairy tale of the person I want to become. And she was, and mind you, I clearly didn't dream too big because we surpassed her several times over, and I'm still dreaming of what I want to be when I grow up. But at that time, I thought of this woman who was confident and who was able to provide for her kids and who didn't care what anyone said and who had a successful career and who had an education. Education for me was so important because going through the system and relying on people, for me, education was the one thing you can never take from me. You can take my child, you can take my dignity, you can take my innocence, but you can't take what I learned and how I decide to apply what I learned. So I just went on this journey of recognizing myself, forgiving myself. And I literally went through an exercise that I go through with kids now of speaking life into yourself, where I wrote on a piece of paper everything everyone told me that was negative, that I was ugly, stupid, a whore, a hoe, fat, just all these things that people just constantly spoken to me. I'll never be anything. I'll only be good for jobs where I'm laying on my back, just different things. And I tore them up and I lit them on fire. Don't do that. Wet them, throw them in the trash can. At the time, girl, almost set the whole apartment on fire. I burned them and I said I'm no longer these things. And then I went through another process where I wrote on sticky notes everything positive, whether it was true or not, whether I believed it or not, beautiful, confident, smart, successful, worthy, all these things.
Yes.
And I put them around my mirror and every day I would say them out loud. Literally, I would cry sometimes. I would choke on the words because I didn't believe these things.
Yes.
And then one day I just started believing them. One day I just started to embrace those words. I started to believe that I was smart and beautiful and I had the ability to be anything I wanted to be. And I started going after everything in that moment that they said I couldn't have. I started applying for jobs I wasn't qualified for and got them. I became a senior branch account executive at 19 years old with zero experience.
Right.
How do you do that unless you walk in with your head high and say, yo, this is my job, this is why, but then go in and kill it and became the most productive person at the organization. So I went through this process of speaking life into me because when I looked into my right and my left, there weren't people that looked like me that came from what I came from and was able to make it out. The only Black person I knew that was successful was Oprah. And come on, how many Oprahs they gonna allow?
Right.
I didn't know Karen Bass existed or all these other people.
Right.
So I just created this insane idea of who I could be and I just,
oh my God,
we rode with it.
Oh my, you know what? Success is the best revenge, right?
It is.
It is. Okay, what you got to say now? Look at me now.
Yeah, and when people told me I couldn't do something or it was too big, I had, even my mom at the time, like, you're dreaming too big, that's too much. I got off on it. I love proving people wrong. To this day, tell me what I can't do, and
that's
I'm
what you're going to do.
Wrong.
And that's exactly what you're going to do.
And so the world actually created this monster because imagine how many people had to tell me no for me to get here, to prove otherwise.
Oh my gosh. I just need to sit with all of that power and with all of that passion and just the reality of where you are now. Because honey, you are killing it. I can't go too many places, especially in the nonprofit world, especially in the foster care community, where people don't know who Dr. Charity Chandler-Cole is. And that says a lot about you and the work that you're doing. Talk to me about your team. How many people do you have at CASA that's a part of your team?
I want to say like 80. 80 people. We have a staff of about 80 people, from advocate supervisors to people managing our fundraising and development, to we built out several programs so we have program staff that are focused on prevention or expecting and parenting youth, early childhood, juvenile justice. We just have so many amazing staff that are working in various capacities to show up for our kids. So we have a pretty large team.
Now, how do you manage a team that size?
With an amazing leadership team, I have about 4 chief level staff, about 7 directors, and then everyone's reporting to their department. But having a strong team, leadership team especially, that you can count on and that you share a vision, that you're constantly developing. Everyone on my leadership team has a leadership coach that we invest in. We have, coordination group meetings, sessions every 6 weeks to make sure we're all on the same page and that silos aren't accidentally being created. But I have a strong, wonderful team that I trust and count on and rely on. And I'm really good at delegating. I'm a visionary at the end of the day.
Right.
And it's where I don't operate in the middle. I'm like, roll up your sleeves and get in the trenches. Like I want to be in the dirt, in the mud, doing the work. And then I can lead the visionary piece at the top. All the other stuff in the middle, I don't want to do.
Right.
And so I have an amazing team that can do it. But you have to know how to do it. You have to know how to direct and lead the team so that they can effectively do it. But you teach people how to run their ship, how to own their work. And when you give people that autonomy and trust and development and support along the way, they thrive.
That's such good advice, because I know that's one of the areas that I struggle with, because I too am a visionary. And then I too like things a certain way, but releasing that control and not feeling like I have to be right there overseeing it so that it's done exactly the way. That's the part that I really, really struggle with. I'm like,
we should swap. Well, no, I don't even want it. I don't even want to do that. like how you get here, How you get there, like this is what the end goal is. How you get there, you can figure that out unless you need help, unless there's a specific route you have to take that I need support with. Otherwise, I allow for creativity and innovation, and my team comes back with some of the most amazing ideas that I wish I could take credit for.
Yes.
But when you give them that, autonomy, and they're checking in with you, they're not just making decisions on their own, but they feel comfortable enough to come to you and say, hey, well, what about this way? Or maybe the way you're proposing is not the best thing right now, and my team feels comfortable doing that. And sometimes I'm like, well, this is the way we're going anyway. And
so how does that work though, if they present something but you decide that we're going in a different direction? How do people receive that? Because I think that's the biggest part that I struggle with when I have to still make a decision that's not the one that you presented. So now I'm worried about how you feel, and how do I, still kind of give you what you want, but at the same time still go in the direction that I know or feel that is best.
Well, naturally they're going to feel some type of way, but you have to remember, we're not here to do it what you feel is good for you. We're here to do what is necessary for the organization.
Yes.
So, and you may even be wrong in that decision, but that's okay, because you have to follow what you believe is true.
Right.
And if it's rooted in logic and and a plan, then you just that's your role. You are the chief executor.
Yes.
And you allow opportunities for your team to make decisions when it comes to certain things, but if you say this is how something is going to be done, they're going to naturally feel some type of way, but they also have to believe that in your role that, you're doing it for a reason. And so something I tell my team is that, it may not be the best route, but I leave a slither of room open to say, you know what, if along the way this isn't the right path, we'll pivot.
Okay.
We'll pivot and we'll go to that idea, but I think we need to try it this way first.
Okay.
I love your idea. I think it makes total sense. I want to try it this way first.
Okay.
But let's just see what happens, I don't say, and then a lot of leaders, because they make executive decisions, they feel like they have to stick with it to prove to their team that this was the right way, and then you get stuck in something messy.
Right.
I always let my team know that, hey, it may not work, but we're going to find out.
That's good.
Be ready to pivot.
That's
Be ready
good.
to pivot to yours if it doesn't.
I know, that's real. How big is your leadership team?
All right, it's about 14.
Okay.
Between directors and chief level staff.
So what do you do for staff wellness or staff morale? Like, what is your strategy for making sure that you have a culture of staff members that just really love showing up at CASA every day?
Yeah, that part's kind of hard. I'm in an interesting space with culture right now, because sometimes in organizations you want to prioritize culture. And that's where I was when I first started. I want everyone to just, feel great and do great, but we were operating in a very hybrid space, and to a degree, it's hard to manage culture virtually.
Yes.
Completely. And so one of the things I did when I first started was I instituted a 4-day work week.
Okay.
By 4 days, I mean 32 hours a week.
Okay.
And help the team really understand how to prioritize their work. I truly believe that if my health is well and my family's well, and I don't have to worry about those things when I get to work, I'm going to come and bring 1,000% of myself.
Okay.
And so I tell my team to prioritize your health, prioritize your family. There shouldn't be a basketball game that you miss or something you miss because of work. The 4-day work week really allows for you to schedule your time in a way where you can show up and be present, or go to that doctor's appointment, or whatever the case. We recently, as of Monday, we're going back to the office, hybrid, like everyone's going to be in the office 2 days a week.
Okay.
But what was missing was being in person and having that team dynamic.
Right.
And folks just feel, especially the new people coming in, they felt like, what am I really a part of? I go into the office and I don't know anyone.
Right.
And so for me, culture it's going to be different for everyone, but it's creating an environment where people feel like there's work-life balance, where they feel seen and heard and valued, where they can have an opinion. Sometimes folks take that a little overboard, because I'd be like, hold up, who you talking to?
Well,
we have those moments, but it's having that open conversation and being able to just do direct talk where, you're not having to beat around the bush all the time because you're afraid of what employees are going to think or say. But culture is just really like, do I feel comfortable coming here? Am I able to manage, my work-life balance? Is it toxic? Am I, working with people who are constantly demeaning me? My staff know we do not micromanage at all. It's just not healthy, but it's also embracing situational leadership.
Yes.
As a leader, you cannot lead everyone on your team the same way.
Right.
Some people may need more support, some people may need less, and you have to have those conversations with them to say, you know, here's what I envision for this role, here's the level of support I think you need. Am I missing something? And there will be times where they say, oh, I need way more support. And I'm like, well, are you the person for this job based on the skills required for this position?
Okay.
Or they may say, I may need this level of support in the beginning, and then I'll be willing to let go and do my own thing. But then I need to know that as a leader, you're there from when I have questions or when I need support or when I need, you know, to brainstorm.
Right.
And so every person's different, but there's a fine line between how much help do you need because you don't know the job and you don't have the skills,
right?
And how much help do you need because we're growing and elevating and finding new ways to be innovative and creative, and I need to make sure you have the tools to be developed along the way as we progress and grow.
Right.
And it's different for everyone. So I just try to have those one-on-ones with my team constantly, have those conversations, check in with them, ask them different ways of what you need, because oftentimes when you say, how are things? It's good. It's good.
Right.
Everything's good until it's not.
Right.
And by that time, I'm like, I can't help you.
Right.
I can help you out the door, but that's it.
Right.
And so just figuring out what are different ways I can ask my team how they're doing, how's the work, and how do I evaluate and measure the work? That's one of the things we're working on right now. How do I see this and know this without you even telling me, so that I can come in and say, hey, here's where you need some support, or here's the opportunity.
That's great. Yeah. You've shared so much, but I want to kind of piggyback on the how are you doing, or how things going, because we are now implementing how are you feeling. Do you create a culture where people really talk about how they feel without having to sort of jump in and fix things? Because I struggled with the question, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
Because I'm a fixer. And if you say, I'm not feeling well, or what's some of the words, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling, Tige go into this mode of, well, what can I do so that you're not sad?
Yeah. So the how are you feeling one, it opens a door for non-work related responses, in my opinion.
Okay, hold on.
So how are you feeling? And so a lot of folks, I will blur the line between how are you feeling about the work and how am I feeling just about life? And then that's when it could get tricky and icky, because then as a leader, you naturally want to fix things in their life and try to do things to accommodate this person that does not equitably apply to everyone else in the organization.
Right.
And so you have to be very careful of doing that. And so for me, we have to stay focused on the job.
Yes.
If we see certain things in someone's personal life are impacting how they do their job, of course you want to check in, because it may be something that is above your head. As a leader, sometimes you have directors and managers who are not executing your vision the way you want them to. So we may have this powerful message of work-life balance and not micromanaging and developing our team and supporting them, that's not being translated all the way down. And so checking in and understanding and making sure that vision is executed throughout is important.
Yes.
Because I see that happen oftentimes too. But for me, the how do you feel, it just creates a space that's not of getting information that's not work related that you're now burdened with.
That's so good. That's, yeah.
Sorry, kids in spotlight staff.
No, I know, right? Yes. I mean, and I struggled with it, but I kind of, I still practice it. Because it's good for me to know when there is something happening outside that you're bringing into the workspace, so that we can be sensitive to that, and we can be respectful of that. But at the same time, I'm reminding you that when we're here, we're grinding, and we're grinding for the youth that we serve. Yeah. And I have to remind some of the team, and even myself, like, it's not personal. Like, even when we have to have tough conversations, it's not personal. It's about the mission and the impact of the work. But I do want to create this culture where people love, showing up to work every day. Like, that's the cool place to work. Where's the number one spot to, nonprofit to get a job? Kids in the spotlight.
And naturally you say how you're feeling. Like, I say it all the time, how are you feeling? But if I get someone that says, oh, I'm sick, I'm not feeling well, okay, girl, take your sick day. So I do encourage people to take care of your health, take care of yourself, but I also can't solve everyone's personal problem. I can be sympathetic, compassionate, whatever I can do that's within reason to support that, whether it's giving you permission to go to work, because some people feel tremendous guilt with calling in sick and letting them know, girl, it's okay. Go take care of your health. But beyond that, you know, it's a fine line you have to walk, and it's going to be different in every situation, and you just have to figure out what makes the most sense for you, the person you're interacting with, and are you applying that energy equitably across every single person in the organization?
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
that is a lot, but it's necessary.
It's necessary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with the 2-day work week now, I'm assuming, it's a 4.
Oh, you mean 2 days in person?
Yeah, in person. So I'm assuming that's off the hem of COVID, where everybody went virtual and now. Are you getting any resistance from people coming back for those 2 days a week?
I've heard of resistance.
Okay.
I've heard of people resisting it. The main thing was, you know, what am I going to do with my kids? Who's going to watch my dog? I'm like the same people that was watching your kid and dog before COVID hit. The exact same people. What would you do if you were applying to another job? Like even me, you know, I have to figure out childcare. My husband was like, "This was your idea."
Right.
I gotta do pickups twice a week now. You know, but it's necessary. And we've just become so conditioned and comfortable with being at home to the point where, you know, I had someone say, well, you know, they can't attend a certain meeting in a different city because, you know, it conflicts with their personal schedule, things they do on their personal time, on their work time that's personal. So they just got in so comfortable to just checking in and doing work at their leisure that it's like second to other things during work hours. And so and when I start to notice that and see that, and you see productivity is waning, and then that just, you know, relationship with your peers and ability to really work with each other and off each other was kind of like weaning. I knew it was time for us to come back. We didn't know each other, you know, because I started the role virtually. It's so hard to leave virtually.
Yes.
I never did it before. I love working from home. Don't get me wrong. I'm like mama of the year, drop off, pick up, PTA, everything. But I also, you know, as a leader, when we know that a change needs to happen, we have to lead by example.
Absolutely.
And so even before Monday, I'm in the office more, I'm showing up more and showing them that this is what is necessary and it's good. And when folks see each other, they're excited, they're happy. We have events planned around coming back just to kind of, you know, support engagements. But it'll be okay, but there's going to be resistance. You're never going to make 100% of the people on your team happy ever.
I know.
Ever, but
I want to.
I don't. I want people to show up and do their job. I want people to come to work, love doing it. We're in the nonprofit space. Right. So at the end of the day, you have to only hire people who are here because they want it. They want to have an impact on the population we're serving. If they're there for themselves only and what the organization is giving them, nonprofit's not the place for you.
It really isn't. And I say that all the time. I said, if this is a place that you are here because you need a job and it's just fulfilling the job, it's not the place for you. You gotta bring the heart, the servant attitude to the work and the commitment to the work. So it's really, that can be very challenging. But you doing it, I mean, we navigating. And I like your attitude toward it. You like, get over it. This is what we gotta do. This is what we're called to do. So listen, I wanna know, how would your team describe you as a leader?
I don't know.
You're not sure?
No. Because, you know, I think as a leader, you sit in this place where people feel like they have to be nice to you and have to say nice things to you. So I always, in my mind, I think I'm a super cool boss. I think I would want to work for me, but I also wonder what people think sometimes. And I just don't know. I don't know. I would hope people would say that, you know, she's cool to work with. She's very personable, easy to engage. She's no nonsense. Right. But she listens to us. She cares about us. I have had staff who say, Charity, you just really care. We just really love your leadership. We're so grateful that you're here. Yeah. I get that a lot, but then I also, you know, I just never know. I just never know. I haven't heard anything bad.
Okay.
You know, I haven't heard anything bad. And I look at exit interviews, okay, to see what people are saying. I haven't heard anything.
Well, that's good.
Anything too crazy, because I care enough to where if something I'm doing as a leader is having a negative impact on our impact, I would want to immediately change that. Of course, the best leaders are learners, so I'm always looking for opportunities to enhance and be better when it comes to my ability to influence how other people are showing up. Yes. But I also know I can't change every little thing about me to fit people, because then we'll be I just have to, I'm in a place in my life where I have to be authentically, unapologetically me.
Yes.
But I'm also comfortable enough recognizing my errors and things I can do better. I don't think you're too old to do that. It all comes down to like pride.
Right.
And ego. And I don't have ego to the point where I'm like,
right.
I'm Charity and this is who I am. No,
Right.
I'm like, if I come off rude or if I come off disrespectful or insensitive, I want to know.
Right.
I want to know because my objective is never to offend sensitive things, you know,
Yes.
but also people will be uncomfortable at times naturally because we have to do and say things people aren't going to always like.
Right.
So that part I'm fine with. That's
Right.
fine. But other things where we're just so used to being direct that we want to be mindful of, hey, was that too harsh?
Right.
You know, those are things that I kind of like check, do some critical self-reflection on
Yeah.
often.
It's really about balance.
Yeah.
And understanding what that balance is and
Yeah.
what that balance really looks like.
Yeah.
Well, being a recovering people pleaser, I think I'm sort of getting there. But the difference for me in leading a small nonprofit with only 11 staff members, when we begin to grow and hire a team, people come on knowing that, oh, this is a new organization. I can put my stamp on this, or I can create this, or I can. And when they're met with resistance, then you get this, she's not flexible, or she's not this, or she's not.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but see, I brought you into a vision
Yes.
that already exists.
Yes.
I didn't bring you in here to create your vision. Now, I'm
Exactly.
open. I love my team that are forward thinkers
Yes.
and come with ideas and things like that, as you shared earlier.
absolutely.
I love the collaborative approach. But I've had people that if, they want to introduce something that maybe is kind of sort of aligned, but not fully aligned. And it's like, no. And then I get the, well, she's kind of straightforward. She's not really flexible, and she's not. And for me, when you are a recovering people pleaser and you hear those things, you're like, but no, it's not like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like that. No, it's just that this doesn't completely align with the mission of the work. And I, as a visionary, you see the end goal.
Yeah.
And you're responsible for looking at things from a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
So as your staff members might come and they see just on this lateral sort of level, you're seeing the entire picture, and you're also seeing where you're going.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're also in a different position, Tige, because you founded Kids in the Spotlight. Like, this is your baby. So you get to decide, period, hard stop, what happens and what doesn't. And I just know you as a person that you're going to listen to, you're going to hear what other ideas and thoughts and proposals are coming in. And it may be an absolute no, or it may be a not right now. And then people just have to understand that this is not your role. This is not your lane. Thank you for introducing it. There's respect there for that.
Yes.
But also remember that this is, the role I play, leading this organization, determining what program we're going to move forward with in advance or not. And folks cannot take it personal.
Right.
They
That's
cannot
what I
take
say.
it
It's not
personal.
personal. It's never
'Cause
personal.
It's not about you. It's about the vision. It's about the impact. And I always say that it's so lonely in our roles because everyone isn't going to see what we see. They're not going to understand the ways we understand things. Even with our government and leadership, a lot of the decisions that are being made that we don't know about, like, we're not in those meetings, we're not in those boardrooms, we don't understand the strategy, we just see what's happening and we may not get it and understand it. And so we pass all the judgment and have all the opinions. And so we just have to know that, we do our best to articulate the vision. It may not land correctly everywhere, but you know what the vision is, you know what the impact is. And sometimes we just have to, unfortunately, deal with people not getting it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing we can really do about that. That's the world we live in, unfortunately.
Oh, I can talk to you all day, right?
Yeah. You gotta make peace with that, though. I've made peace with that.
That's good.
I've made peace
getting
with
there.
it.
I'm getting there.
I've never been a people pleaser, though. So
See, that's okay. Well, yeah. Then that's the difference.
So I didn't have that problem.
Yeah. Well, it's not a good problem to have. Let's just say that.
I wish I did. I wish I could know what that feels like.
No, you don't. Trust me, you don't. But look, oh my gosh. So I got 50 million questions, and we got to start landing this plane.
Okay.
But I just want to know, as a leader, can you tell me a leader that you admire? Like, who do you look up to in terms of your leadership, or do you follow any leadership trends?
That's such a hard question for me. And there's amazing leaders out there. You know, I could name Areva Martin and, you know, Karen Bass. And there's so many different people that I look up to. You know, and Areva's one of my I finally got a mentor, y'all, like 2 years ago. She's one of my mentors, but when it comes to following leadership trends, I don't follow any trends. Okay. I look for opportunities, I look for best practices, but I also know that just me personally, I've always kind of walked down this path that was, you know, not traditional or not in a box, and that people just never understood. And I've just always, you know, followed my own path, you know? And so I may take tidbits here and there from other people, but I have this purpose I can't really articulate. And so I follow that purpose. I don't plan. Like,
you know your North Star.
I don't even think I really know it. I just know that it's drawing me somewhere. And I follow that. And that North Star changes all the time. So I stopped making plans for my life. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I feel like, and I don't know if it's God or some higher power, I don't know what the heck it is, but there's something that leads me to where I don't, you know, I may have ideas and plans for what I want to do and who I want to be, but I don't hold myself to them, because I know in a moment's time, like I can say I'm gonna be at CASA for 10 years and then God can say tomorrow you're going somewhere else.
Wow. And
you
know, that's a faith walk. That's a faith walk. And
I follow that.
And there's a scripture that says man plans his ways, but it's really God who orders his steps. So oftentimes we can make plans and God was like, no, that's not.
He laughs all the time.
And he has us on a need to know basis. Well, I can speak for myself.
And I trust that plan so much, Tige. I've let go and let God, literally. So, you know,
I love that.
If tomorrow I get the call to do something else, it could be get rid of everything, get rid of the money you make, the opportunities you have. And mind you, I make my money more ways than just CASA. But if God said, let go of all that and start over from poverty, I would, because I know there's a purpose in that, and that it's going to impact someone somehow. And I've just made peace with knowing that I am a vehicle that is being used for something bigger and better than just myself. And he hasn't failed me yet.
See, y'all, that's why she is my little big sister, okay? CASA, I mean, look, I'm calling you CASA now, girl. I'm so like in the moment of all that you've shared. But Dr. Charity, this has been an absolute pleasure for me. And I promise you, I wish we could do a part 2, part 3, part 4, and part 5 with you, because I can listen to you talk.
I could talk to you all day. I'm like, is it over already?
Well, I know I really could literally talk to you all day long. Just, you have so much wisdom, so much knowledge, so much experience, that I just feel like every time I talk to you, I'm growing as a leader. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here, for saying yes, for being a role model, for being a big sis, for being all the things and always including me. And also for hiring one of our youth from Kids in the Spotlight. I was so excited. She interviewed for the job, and you made it clear she got that on her own merit. I was like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you. Well, that's it for today. And I know if you were like me, you have learned something. You have grabbed a nugget. You have something, I'm sure, was said today to help you on your leadership journey. So thank you for tuning in. And remember to always do those 3 magical words: like, share, and subscribe. All right, until next time, remember that your leadership role is important and the world needs what you have to offer. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for today. I hope you were inspired and you gained some valuable nuggets that will help you to become a better leader and to walk in your God-given authority. Bye, until next time.